fragmented supply exists a lot in what? Podcasting. Apple has been in the podcast game for 15 years, just letting Spotify come in here and obliterate them. This is a great example about a failure to execute on basically innovating, right? And building a new business out. Spotify. Actually, a linear business. Not even in Platt yet. Their core business is linear, but Spotify has been trying to start up different, platform business offerings that bolt on to their core linear offering. Linear offering just being, digital music, subscription. And where they've embraced a platform model is in podcasting. Why is that a platform model rather than a linear model? Is because the supply base in podcasting is very fragmented, right? There are a myriad of podcasters, just like this show, which aren't consolidated through one of the 4 record labels that have then those 4 record labels have even further consolidated into the RIAA, which is, I think, the Recording Industry Association of America. So you actually just have one entity that a Spotify or an Apple Music negotiates with for all the rights to the music for the large majority of really all the music on Spotify. Very hard for them to break out of that stranglehold of consolidated supply that exists with their core business around music. So the smart folks over at Spotify have recognized that clearly and said, hey, where can we actually have more of a platform model where we have obviously fragmented demand amongst our consumers, but also fragmented supply? Those are the 2 key fundamental criteria to have any platform business. Fragmented supply exists a lot in what? Podcasting. So we have seen Spotify make a series of investments. We've covered that on the show. We've covered Spotify's platform business aspirations many times on the show. And I think Spotify is now seeing a lot of that success, most notably with this milestone around their podcast listener numbers surpassing Apple's during the year of 2021. So this research was published by eMarketer, and you can see here on this graph, here is the projection of where Spotify will be. And basically eMarketer is saying that, look at Apple's just flat. A couple interesting takeaways. One, Spotify is beating Apple, the platform monopoly of monopolies, at its own game of platform war in the podcasting arena. So check to Spotify. It's a great example about the kind of slow, sluggish tech platform monopoly that is Apple, with very poor leadership at the top. That is Tim Cook. We've covered, what is a very lackadaisical series of initiatives that Apple has been putting out under Tim's leadership, who's really not an innovator, right? He's an operator. He's a manager, and he's a hell of an operator and a manager. Just ask Warren Buffett. Apple, poor innovation record. The future looks bleak. Just look at this chart from eMarketer. So what is Apple's history with Apple podcasting and trying to compete against Spotify, for example, seeing that Spotify was signing people like Joe Rogan and all this stuff over a year ago in 2020. Here's the Apple timeline, Apple podcast timeline. This is back to July 2019. Apple will reportedly fund Apple exclusive podcasts. Okay, that's more than 2 years ago. So this is now the rumor mill, and it talks about some of the tech startups that are out there innovating, like this Luminary company. We've covered them. Okay, so that's summer 2019. Fast forward to now June 2020, basically a year later. Joe Rogan has now been signed by Spotify. This article here, does Apple finally have a plan for podcasts? Apple Podcasts, a curious addition to its directory, the Zane Lowe interview series, which was marked on the platform as an Apple Music podcast. And Lowe is a DJ, and, so they kind of they didn't even dip their big toe into the water. This is like they kind of dipped their pinky toe into the water. And basically this article is saying, I don't know really what Apple's doing. They did this Zane Lowe thing, but I haven't really seen anything significant. Certainly not anything near the level of signing Joe Rogan to a 9-figure deal and having him take down his stuff from YouTube. Fast forward to this spring. This is April 2021. Apple's kind of industry day. The announcement of the new service from Tim Cook, right? This isn't like delegated down. This is Tim Cook. Apple Podcast subscriptions. So now they're launching this. Tim Cook says, this is the biggest change to Apple Podcasts since its debut. I was thinking about, like, since its debut, it looks like Apple has been in the podcast game for 15 years, doing nothing. Just letting Spotify come in here and obliterate them. Apple Music and Apple Podcasts isn't shrinking. It's just flat, whereas Spotify is like this. You saw the chart. So to me, that is a huge failure. Spotify's ambitions and their plans and what they've been putting into motion, they haven't hid any of it. It's right in broad daylight. This is a great example about a failure to execute on basically innovating, right? And building a new business out called Apple Podcast, which, I mean, now finally, 2 years later, and then we're eventually going to see premium subscriptions, but we still haven't seen anything material. We still haven't seen anything just baked into the traditional podcast offering. You know, the rest of this article talks about a button called the Smart Play button that helps listeners automatically start episodic shows from the latest episode and serialized shows from the beginning of each series. Wow, Apple. I don't even know what you're going to come up with next. This is just groundbreaking stuff. So a great example. Up and coming tech company, not even truly platform yet, really taking it to the big tech monopoly that is Apple. Spotify's stock market cap, 40 billion. There are a few of these kind of like what I would call mid-cap, up and coming tech companies, many of them platforms like a Salesforce buying Slack, like, Square buying Afterpay. What Spotify is doing here to become platform, what Shopify is doing to become platform, right? I think there are a few of these kind of mid-tier, some of them platforms, some of them linear tech getting into platform. The growth you're going to see from this kind of middle pack, I think they're going to blow an Apple out of the water. Amazon, a little bit of a different story. But an Apple, going to blow them out of the water. Hi, I'm Alex. Thanks for watching the show. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, but even better, make sure to follow us on Odyssey, follow us on Rumble, and text us, 203-646-5159. Text the word Monopoly. You'll be subscribed. You'll get updates about when we're going live, our latest videos, and we'll send you even a little goodie bag. And in the event that we all get banned from big tech, we'll still be connected.